Hey guys, I'm back! I love the Looney Tunes franchise, and my favorite character has always been the Roadrunner. I love his design, his speed, that constant smile, and the constant, never-ending rage baiting. He's my GOAT, and they're giving a movie to his oppressor. Okay, but jokes aside, I am very excited for Coyote Vs Acme, and I'm stoked they're finally releasing the movie after all this time. And for that reason, I had the idea of watching every single Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And even better, I can turn it into a video by ranking them all. Yes, just the Roadrunner cartoons. I know Wile has had almost as many cartoons with Bugs or other Looney Tunes characters, and the movie is technically about him, but these are more iconic for his character. But how many Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons are there exactly? Well, first, we have the classic cartoons. These range from 41 different cartoons from 1949 to 1966. Another 5 by 2003, some of which are tie-ins with new movies, and another 4 up until 2014 that were also featured with new movies and were in 3D CGI animation. These are what people most know the duo for, the original run of cartoons featuring the most iconic gags, with 50 in total. But that's not all. There was also New Looney Tunes running from 2015 to 2020, the show featuring 312 new cartoons, and 2 of which are Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons. Wow. Then there's the Looney Tunes cartoon series from 2020 to 2024. This series actually has 15 brand new cartoons of the duo. And we also can't forget about the Looney Tunes show, the most underrated piece of Looney Tunes media ever made. The show would feature 3D animated segments at the end of episodes, but only in the first season, with a total of 19 different cartoons made for this show. That leaves us with a total of 86 cartoons. Sweet. I hate any number that's not even or ends in 5. I could also rank the 5 segments from The Electric Company, but they're only 30 seconds long, look like this, have weird sound effects, and this is the best quality I can find, so it's not worth it. I will be reviewing these cartoons based on how good the duo are, the comedy, the animation, uniqueness of Wile's contraptions, and if they follow the rules. If you don't know, there is a series of rules decided by lead animator and creator Chuck Jones. They are as follows. Number 1, the Roadrunner cannot harm the Coyote except by going beep beep. 2, no outside force can harm the Coyote, only his own ineptitude or the failure of the Acme products. 3, the Coyote could stop any time if he were not a fanatic. 4, no dialogue ever except beep beep. They also forgot the 5, the Roadrunner must stay on the road, otherwise, logically, he would not be called a Roadrunner. 6, all action must be confined to the natural environment of the 2 characters, the Southwest American desert. 7, all materials, tools, weapons, or mechanical conveniences must be obtained from the Acme Corporation. 8, whenever possible, make gravity the Coyote's greatest enemy. And 9, the Coyote is always more humiliated than harmed by his failures. Now, some of these rules are almost always followed, some when broken are pretty irrelevant to the quality most of the time, and some when broken really mess up the experience, especially rules 1, 2, and 4. But with all this out of the way, it's time to get to the rankings. Going in chronological order, starting with Fast and Furious, the first ever Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And for the first time, they actually had a lot of it figured out. They had the fake scientific names, Roadrunner lifting up the road, the iconic beep beep, and some iconic gags like the signs and the classic fake painting originated from this cartoon. There's a few mediocre bits in here, like this superhero costume where he just runs off the cliff, or the boulder drop which takes a while before just falling on him. The rules are mostly followed here. Not everything is Acme yet, but that can be excused. What I can't get over is just how much of a menace my boy Roadrunner is. Oh my god, what? Ew, why is he making that pose? Other than that, it's a pretty good introduction. Beep, beep. Man, you'd forget these are only 6-minute shorts with how much material is jam-packed in each one. This one feels like a more polished version of the first cartoon, and had some unique gags. I will say they need to stop spending so long on screens with lots of text. I'm a fast reader, so I just end up staring at a still image telling me what's supposed to happen instead of letting it happen. There's also a long segment in underground mines here. It's funny, but you can tell it's mostly to save on animation. There's no harm in that, but watching two circles move around isn't as engaging as the rest. It ends on a fake railroad stop gag with a real train that appears. And what the hell, he did it again! He has not stopped being a menace yet. I'm ranking this above Fast and Furious. Going, gosh. Another thing that cannot be underrated is the score of these cartoons. With no dialogue, the dynamic music is heavily carrying. The constant tempos changing throughout each scene is so seamless and engaging. This is a great short, so many simple but quality gags in it. The dynamite bow and arrow, an anvil from a balloon. It has the second use of the painting gag, this time with a car driving through it. Also, we get confirmation that my boy does indeed know how to pull. And oh my god, he's driving the vehicle this time! What is your problem? This is going at the top. Zipping along. Shoutouts to this awesome freeze frame at the start. This was an interesting one. It starts with Roadrunner repeatedly running over Wile. Listen, I still approve of Menace Roadrunner, okay? I can't not love his smile and charm. This smoke bit here is why I love him so much. There's a bit where Wile puts magnets in the bird seed, and when he tries to pull him in, a random stick of TNT shows up. Like, where did that come from? It's already lit, too. Like, what? This is also the first cartoon to feature an actual scream. Minus points for that, but Wile's classic signs aren't a thing yet. There's also this fun hypnotism bit. After reading a book, Wile learns to hypnotize people, and it's just finger lasers? Pretty good. I'll put it over beep beep. Stop, look, and hasten.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
This one was just okay. It takes 2 minutes before we really get to anything, and we spend the start just watching Wile be hungry. This scientific name is probably my favorite yet, and the gags are a bit basic, like this boulder and motorcycle gag, and there's some slower gags as well. But we do get the first use of Wile's signs, Roadrunner pretending to be a train, and him writing "That's all folks" with his trail. But honestly, this one is going at the bottom. Ready, set, zoom. This one was mostly okay. It had some repetitive gags like the truck making the beep beep noise again, and the third gag of Wile riding a rocket. There's also this weird ass motorboat contraption. It even works fine. All that happens is he falls off a cliff. Doesn't even see the Roadrunner in this one. But it ends on this amazing scene where Wile puts on a female Roadrunner costume, but what happens is a bunch of other coyotes appear to try and eat him. Very unexpected and total gold. Guided muscle. Okay, I get the names are just non sequiturs, but there were literally no missiles in this one. These are going to be hard to rank as they stop standing out from one another, and I forget what happens exactly in each one. One thing I appreciate is that despite using similar premises, they always mix up the punchline if possible or add on to it. But I still can't get into using the glue trap again and getting hit by a truck, another cannon shooting backwards, and another wrecking ball. Okay, I lied, I can't excuse the glue trap because Roadrunner does this. I just can't with him. I was a huge fan of this gag with a fishing rod with dynamite and then the spark decides to travel up the rod and explode behind him. That was clever. I'll put it below Ready, Set, Zoom. Gee whiz. Damn, Roadrunner's power level cannot be matched. He's making multiple right turns and charging through solid steel, and even runs flat through the fake painting this time. In this gag, Wile actually is the only one to run into the painting, which was a fun twist. This was my favorite bit here, where the bullet is shocked by Roadrunner and just gives up and explodes. The worst gag is this famous bat costume one. It's referenced a lot, but it has a long setup just to lead into him hitting a wall. It's still a solid cartoon with good misdirects. There they go. Pacing is really important to these cartoons. With how short they are, you can't have different gags take too long. And this one doesn't really get going until 3 minutes in. Wile tries to eat mud for a minute, there's the initial chase, then Wile's on fire with another extended scene, and all that happens is he puts it out. Pretty lame.
Victory will be mine!
The rest was solid, but pretty basic or also have weird pacing. My favorite was this weird mace carousel thing that just becomes a helicopter and proceeds to just kill Wily. How do they come up with this stuff? But besides that, I'll be putting it at the bottom. Scrambled eggs. We really need to do something about all these bridges being out. My god. We got another hit cartoon here. I can't put it at the top because of some reused gags, the 4th rocket ride this time with the lamest payoff, and another boulder on the seesaw bit almost exactly the same, but everything else was gold. Roadrunner was super expressive in this one, and there are a lot of fun misdirects, like Wile using a fake leg and then still getting spun around, or the anvil not landing on him but destroying the ground instead. Good stuff. The ending sequence was great too. I wasn't sure what the point of the steamroller was, but it was actually to get Roadrunner down a detour into a cannon. Doesn't work because Roadrunner is a badass. And then the steamroller comes back towards the tunnel. Yeah, this is going to the top, above zipping along. Zoom and board. Gosh, this one was great. There wasn't a bad joke in the entire cartoon. It even starts with one of my favorite bits in this series with this smoke gag. Roadrunner's curious expressions are just top notch. Then he climbs all the way back up from the cliff only to get startled again and fall off. This is probably my favorite way Roadrunner has looked so far. He's cute in the freeze frames, eating bird seed, and even the sign gag at the end. All the gags with Wily are still good too. I like the buildup of this bomb slide only for it to blow up immediately. And this harpoon gun bit was funny. This thing flies so far, he gets free over a gorge but has to keep holding on. He flies through a truck and it just goes along as usual before going so far it hits a wall above a train. It's pretty excessive, but I found it funny. This one did everything right. Top of the list. Woe begone. If I'm not mistaken, this is when the shot of Wily falling down cliffs became a staple. He does it 3 times in a row and even falls through the trampoline he put to save himself. Classic. Each cartoon usually has one plan that I don't even see what he's trying to accomplish, and this one had multiple, from this weird barrel of dynamite on a pulley scheme, a helmet unicycle. Like, what's the goal here? Not my favorite, but it definitely stands out. Hook, line, and stinker. Wait a second, he got him! Slow motion that. He actually got him! What? How did he do that? He clearly fell in. I call foul play here. I love how Wily gets so hung up on plans that already failed. Like, why are you doing this, man? It already didn't work. There's other good bits here, and this was a pretty strong one. It even ended on our first Rube Goldberg machine, and I love it. And I gotta add, I've been a huge fan of how these have been animated lately. Really feels like the peak of the series. I haven't touched on it much, but I absolutely adore the backgrounds of these cartoons. I love the purple and yellow color combination most of these have. These old cartoons are very pretty. Hip hip hurry! Roadrunner is one of the cutest, most charming characters ever. His stupid, innocent grin is just priceless to me. He's the most friendly asshole I've ever seen. And his speed just keeps getting crazier. I love this bit where Wily is immediately pissed over another failed explosion before Roadrunner helps him light it. Classic cartoon bit, but I love it. They made the boulder drop on a seesaw bit interesting this time by creating it from falling off a cliff. This is also the first time we've seen Wily use a boat. There's almost never water in a desert, so it's a bit weird. Last, I have to point out, what kind of construction zone is this even? Fuck's sake. Another good cartoon, but ranking this is getting harder. Hot Rod and Reel. Wow, this one was lazy. This was the 3rd Famicious. Okay, but for real, there were multiple reused animations in this one. Like, this entire bomb slide is the exact same. The punchline is different, but it's just that the bombs don't go down and explode once Wily pushes them. A punchline I'm a fan of, but it isn't really shaking up an existing bit. It ends on a weird dynamite unicycle gag that goes on for like a minute. But all that happens is he falls off a cliff again. Very underwhelming. I did like this explosive camera bit, but so far, this ranks at the bottom. Wild About Hurry. This one had some creative bits, but they would go on for too long. I like the longer segments, but if I'm not a huge fan of the initial idea, it ends up being quite lame. Like this simple boulder drop doesn't work. Wile pushes it off while on top of it, he starts spinning it to slow his fall, it becomes a drill, then he gets hit by a train, then he keeps spinning. It's not bad, but it does drag. Then there's the steel ball trap. He misses Roadrunner and the ball keeps going and going. Down the river, over a dam, over a waterfall, onto a railroad, then onto a minefield, and then starting over. Which would be funny if Wile couldn't just go a different route the second time. The funniest part was just this invoice here. All those spikes for just 75 cents. Again, not bad, but I'm putting this near the lower end. Fastest with the mostest. While not perfect, this was another great one. I'm noticing a trend of me not liking bits where Wile just keeps falling into more and more trouble unrelated to the contraption, but the rest was very fun. Wile inflates himself trying to inflate a balloon to drop a bomb. He then deflates while holding the bomb and he is unable to get away from it. I also like this bit where he's falling and Roadrunner gives him a spring and Wile just says thanks. And I love this bit where he corners the Roadrunner for once and then the ground just goes out. Like, did Roadrunner plan this? I can never tell how innocent he is. Then it ends on a great sign gag. Hop along casualty. This one had potential. It had a fun start with Wile actually catching Roadrunner, but it was just smoke. But the rest was full of reused sketches, and it spent over half the runtime on this incredibly underwhelming earthquake pills gag that just isn't effective on Roadrunners. He shakes a lot, destroys things, and the punchline is when it wears off, he just walks off a cliff. Very low. I'm putting it second to last. Zip and snort. When I started this project, I thought the fake painting gag would be the most reused, but damn, they aren't even changing the punchline of the boulder seesaw anymore. This one also has Wile in the bow and arrow again, and the iron pellets and the birdseed again, but at least the punchline is different. There's a few good bits in here, like the grenade on a toy airplane, and a fun cannon skit, and it ends with Wile with grease on his feet, sliding down multiple telephone poles and onto a railroad. The train that follows him is apparently non-stop to New York, and oh my god, you menace! Lickety splat! I remember watching this one multiple times as a kid because it's so damn funny. It has a pretty unremarkable start until Wile busts out the dynamite planes. He releases a bunch from a balloon and these stupid looking sticks of dynamite terrorize him for the rest of the short. Blows up his hammer. His boomerang picks one up. They fly into the barrel of his gun. He doesn't even have time to watch his planes fail. The planes keep harassing him. It's hysterical. Top of the ranking for sure. I remember why I loved this one so much. Beep prepared. Oh my god, no! Roadrunner, what are you doing? This one was also really good. It's not at the top because there are some familiar gags again, but the changes weren't bad. And then there's gold, like Roadrunner lifting up the fake hole. Fantastic. And this rocket sled that sends Wile into space and becomes a constellation. Putting this one just below Zoom and Board. Zoom at the top. This one stunk. The animation wasn't bad, but it felt like the first time there was a noticeable downgrade, especially with Wile. Also, I really hate this bear trap scene. I don't know why, but I have an irrational fear of getting caught in one of these. It's so scary. I know he's going to get caught by it, but the suspense, it keeps getting me. That's not why I don't like this, though.
Ouch.
That is the one rule you never break. There's also this boomerang trap with glue on it that he gets stuck to, and this segment also stunk. It's an entire minute of Wile in a boomerang that's not even spinning, just flying in the air. And there's barely any music for this whole scene. It's a very lame sequence. Punchline is he falls down a cliff. This is going at the bottom. To beep or not to beep. This one also broke the no dialogue rule with this scream here, so I'm not putting it that high. This was surprisingly the first cartoon so far to not have the scientific names at the start, and just had a book about eating roadrunners. Which, I mean, they're funny, but I don't think every cartoon needed them. This one had some pretty boring gags, some gags that dragged, but the last third was this great catapult scene. Wile kept trying the same catapult with different failures each time he tried to avoid, and it's very funny. I wish they did stuff like this more often. The final section does drag, but it ends with the reveal that Roadrunner made the catapult. Still near the bottom overall, but above most of the cartoons I didn't care for. War and Pieces. What was that? This was the weirdest Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon yet, because the punchlines were so weird. I loved it. First of all, these are the best freeze frames so far. There's a standard bow and arrow trap that ends up tearing Wile, somehow revealing his underwear? I can't get that vision out of my head. Then there's this wall trap. Roadrunner is just cute and inspecting it, but Wile gets impatient. God, he's so innocent. This invisible paint gag wasn't very good. He just gets hit by a truck going beep beep again. But when he stumbles off a cliff, he falls into a river and tells a fish to get lost. And I laughed at this fucking fish's face. I can't. Then Wile makes a fake peep show? Down, boy! He uses a hook to climb up a cliff, but somehow he hooked onto a cloud and it just zaps him. That's not how clouds work. Then he tries a rocket to get up, but it goes back around and shoots him down to the core of the earth and into China with a Chinese roadrunner. Then he falls back to America. Absolute cinema. Super bizarre, but I was laughing the whole time. I didn't think anything in the classic series would top my childhood favorite, but wow, top of the list. Sadly, this was the last Merry Melodies cartoon directed by Chuck Jones until 1979, as he was fired in 1962 for moonlighting for another studio. Hopefully the cartoons stay at this quality. Zip zip, hooray!
Meep. Meep meep.
Sometimes I feel very sorry for the coyote. Sometimes I wish he'd catch him. If he caught him, there wouldn't be any more Roadrunner.
What? Okay, so apparently there was a failed pilot for a show called Adventures of Roadrunner. It aired back in 1962, and this pilot then became 3 separate cartoons released later. The first one was To Beep or Not to Beep, a couple entries ago, Zip Zip Hooray, and Roadrunner A Go Go, which is next. And yeah, I see why this failed. It's just a couple of kids talking to the TV.
The thing I don't understand is why he wants to eat the Roadrunner in the first place.
Is this how kids from the 60s talked?
I sometimes think I'm the Roadrunner. Beep beep zip dang! It's a bad habit.
They wonder why Wile wants to get to the Roadrunner, so then Wile stops what he's doing to talk about it. Look, whatever, this ain't canon. I'll let the one and only Mel Blanc narrate for a while, but it's just boring having him just talk about how the Roadrunner tastes. A very boring cartoon. Roadrunner A Go Go. This one is about Wile reviewing some of his failed attempts to catch Roadrunner, and I don't like this premise. It's boring. It's all reused clips, most of which are already boring, minus the catapult. It's dumb. Adventures of the Roadrunner. Sorry to go out of order here. I wasn't planning on ranking this at first, as it's just 3 cartoons in one, but after watching these last 2, I got way too curious, And I guess there's more to this cartoon than I thought, because half of it is just these damn kids again. I think they're going for a Charlie Brown thing, but with way less soul behind those eyes. Now they're giving the daydreaming kid a therapy session to stop imagining things, I guess. There's this whole section here with him daydreaming different things in class. I mean, it ain't bad, but I was barely paying attention. The rest is what we've already seen. Yeah, all three of these are going at the bottom of the list. This one above the other two individual cartoons. The Wild Chase. Well, this is interesting. We have a crossover cartoon with Sylvester and Speedy Gonzales. It's a race to see who is fastest, with Wile and Sylvester trying to catch them both. Obviously, Roadrunner is faster, he's just being fair. This one sounds cool, but it's actually pretty lame. Multiple shots are completely reused exactly, but with Sylvester just randomly there. Sometimes they are against each other, but then mostly work together. Sylvester barely adds anything to the punchlines and is just doing Wile style traps. Dang, is my OC noticeable? Wile and Sylvester win the race, and we never know who is the fastest. The premise saves this one, but it's very underwhelming. It's gonna go below, there they go. Rushing Roulette. I've started getting a bad omen every time I see the boring Warner Bros. Intro over the classic Merry Melodies. And these last cartoons haven't been directed by Chuck Jones since he was fired. Seems like we have passed the golden age of the series. Thankfully, this one was alright because at least every gag was unique. A photo booth with a cannon behind it actually taking pictures, a fun handcar section, my favorite version of the glue trap so far, and this piano trap. Him not getting the notes right away was very funny, and I guess he's driving into Wile again. Oh, okay. Also, man, the music has gotten worse. It doesn't nearly have the same feel as he's used to. Overall, this is still solid. It'll go in the middle, below Fast and Furious. Run, run, sweet Roadrunner. Oh my god, this one has the worst animation in any of the cartoons so far. It's so sloppy and unappealing. I'm usually not one to be so critical about that, but classic Looney Tunes are so fluid and expressive. This feels like Flash animation. I do appreciate some gags like this hopscotch off a cliff, but it's still so stiff. This fake lightning rod bit is cute and all, but it's also super lazy, reusing the same footage multiple times. Please don't let the rest of these be like this. Tired and Feathered. Oh my god. I think the reason the animation bothers me so much is that animation adds so much to every punchline. Look at this scene and just see how unsatisfying it is. The sound effects are barely even present. The music is barely going along. This isn't Looney Tunes. It's just Looney, just merry, if you can even call it that. And this is the least exaggerated smush I've ever seen. They had another voice line, minus points, and they are getting lazy. Okay, so first, he's just daydreaming about Roadrunner. He gets a prank call from the Roadrunner. He decides to build a fake phone booth. We watch him set up the plunger, a building montage. Then we see what he built. Then we watch him cut the real phone lines. Then we see him make the sign for the Roadrunner. Then finally, we get back to watch him blow up. My god, if this was a setup in a Chuck Jones cartoon, it would be over in 20 seconds. I didn't think these batch of cartoons would be below the Adventures of Roadrunner, but here we are. I long for the ones I thought would be the worst, like Hot Rod and Reel. Oh, and I guess he grabbed Roadrunner this time. Wow, that's crazy. Boulder Wham. These 11 cartoons in 1965 were all subcontracted to Format Productions, a studio now defunct as of 1973. I don't know the story behind them well, but I guess that's the explanation for the shoddy animation. That, and clearly they were forced to rush with how many they were asked for in a short time. This one is entirely set around Wile trying to cross a cliff to get to the Roadrunner. I would have loved a cartoon with a central premise like this one, but it was clearly done just to reuse animation in so many places. just plain beep. So I had to do more research on this. Apparently, these 11 cartoons are known as the Lariva 11, named after the director. Thanks, Looney Trash Wiki, and they really stink. The animation and pacing have stunk. I haven't brought it up much, but the rules keep breaking. Roadrunner has been way more antagonistic, for example. It was definitely interesting watching how this show evolved, and I'm not going to pretend I'm not a little fascinated by this. But honestly, how about we lightning round these cartoons, because boy, there isn't much to say about them. Just Plain Beep has Wile building a World War I style plane. We get to watch him rebuild the plane multiple times and get such great payoffs like shrugging things off and staring awkwardly. Harried and hurried. Standard cartoon, I guess, a bit better than the others. Love when Wile keeps testing his inventions first before using them. Backfiring wouldn't be as funny if we didn't spend more time showing how it works first. Highway Runnery. This one's also slightly better. Roadrunner gets in an old car and chases Wile, but there's literally no music, and he lays an egg that had dynamite in it and has a clock baby.
Did you name it?
What?
Did you name it?
Yeah, he's Paul.
Yeah? Well, it's gonna be a hell of a lot harder for you now because he's going the overboard.
Chaser on the rocks. In this one, everyone is hot and needs water, and Roadrunner is a constant menace here. Whenever Wile drowns, he counts to 3, and I don't get it. Shot and bothered. These reused animations are getting out of hand. And this animation error is egregious. He chases Roadrunner and comes up with a plan in the middle of the cartoon, really mixing things up. And now he tests his contraption twice. Ooh. Really, even if the idea is creative and I respect it, the execution really ruins it. Oh, and he inflates himself willingly this time. Out and out route. They used this one shot of Roadrunner as just clouds 4 different times. They've reused it a lot already, but my god. They had some stuff with some birds and some car, but they all felt so stiff it barely even looks like flight or driving. The Solid Tin Coyote. This is the best one of the Lariva 11, but it's still lame. He builds a giant coyote robot, which is cool, but we spend too long building it. It moves like this. And as always, it has bad pacing. Roadrunner is actually scared for once, and he actually gets caught too. But the robot ends up eating Wile, which I'll admit is a good scene. But then how does Roadrunner just teleport away? I don't even know. Clippity clobbered. God, Roadrunner, you asshole. Just let him open his package. This one he uses a science kit. Most of it is just reused punchlines. I like Roadrunner pretending to be a train before a real train comes, but that's it. And that is the end of the Lariva 11. I was definitely fascinated learning about this random group of cartoons, but I am really glad to be done with these rushed, lazy, ugly, and repetitive cartoons. Sugar and Spies. It's good to hear new music again. The animation is better too. Then I was shocked to see humans here. This criminal drops a spy kit that Wile finds. It's nice to see a cartoon with a theme. He's got gear like sleeping gas and a time bomb. Despite the theme, this is pretty mediocre. He just goes back to Acme gear later, just wearing a spy costume. And half the gags don't revolve around the theme much. Explosive Putty is just another explosion. It could have had better execution is all. This was actually the last cartoon from the original series run. We wouldn't get another one up until 1979.
Freeze frame.
Welcome back, Chuck Jones. From this point onward, the classic series of cartoons were made to go along with different movies or collections. This one was a tie-in with Bugs Bunny's Looney Christmas Tales. And yes, this one kind of has a winter theme. It starts out super slow. Wile learns Roadrunners hate snow, and the first half is just this broken snow machine that keeps launching snow into Wile. It's funny, but nothing special. Then all Wile does is switch signs around to the snowy summits where he actually has some fun snow-themed gags. Doesn't seem like Roadrunner's having a bad time though. This is a much more fun theme to go with for a cartoon because it leads to creative punchlines for new winter-themed contraptions. From skates to skis, giant snowballs, and a rocking horse for some reason. While it's a bit flawed, it's a really good change of pace. Soup or Sonic was a tie-in with Bugs Bunny's busting out all over. Moving on. I was a bit skeptical after seeing that this was the longest cartoon yet at 9 minutes when all the rest have been around 6. But no, this was fantastic. The best thing about this cartoon is how it really embraces its tooniness and has multiple scenes you could never do outside animation. In this one scene alone, Wile makes a door through clouds, then physically changes his question mark to an exclamation mark. There is a bunch of cartoony slapstick here. The one that sent me the most is just this pulley evaporating Wile. Wile puts out a huge fly paper trap and catches a huge fly. What the hell? My only issue is the Roadrunner is barely present in almost any of these scenes except for the end. But what a good end it was. Both of them end up shrinking by going through these pipes, and they just mutually agree to go back before resuming the chase, only for Wile not to grow. I'm ranking it 3rd overall.
Chariots of Fur.
14 years later, we got Chariots of Fur, airing in theaters alongside a live-action Richie Rich movie. It turned out as good as you'd expect. This is the last cartoon to be directed by Chuck Jones, and this was also the last cartoon to feature the voice of Paul Julian, who voiced Roadrunner up until this point before passing away. It's a real shame because Roadrunner is so expressive in this one. He's moving around like I've never seen him. He's great. This one was pretty good. The animation was one of the best so far. There were quite a few unique gags, like the lightning bolts and cactus costume, but it also had quite a few overdone jokes as well. And so many sign gags in this one. Still going high up in my rankings though. Little Go Beep. Oh great, they're babies. This is an interesting cartoon. The movie it was planned to release with never came out, so this became pretty obscure media and was never officially released. This was also the first cartoon to be animated digitally, and it looks pretty good. I really like the intro with a bunch of fun pictures. I'm just gonna ignore that one. I'm going to cut to the chase. I have never been a big fan of baby versions of cartoons. The Tiny Toons Muppet Babies, these do nothing for me really. I never play as the babies in Mario Kart. While the gadgets here are creative with the theme, most of the applications and punchlines feel familiar. What's weird is we also have the appearance of Wile's dad, who tells him not to talk until he catches a Roadrunner.
He's a good boy, but I don't think he's gonna be talking for a long time.
Okay, dickhead. It's a solid cartoon, but not something I'd really watch over the classics. Going under Sugar and Spies. Wizard of Ow. Wizard of Ow was tied in with Looney Tunes Back in Action and has a full wizard theme. They really went all out with a theme here. It's not just like Sugar and Spies. The direction these different spells go in is interesting. It's not just a magic broom that he falls off a cliff with. He ends up flying to space with it. And he makes his fun customer service call when falling. I like that a lot. This rock floating with telekinesis follows the same beats as every other contraption that doesn't work, but the punchline still follows the wizard theme. I like the growth gag that gives him a big head, and all the transformations of his ride. And Roadrunner even made himself a girlfriend. Aww. I'm ranking it above Zoom and Board. Coyote Falls. Now we're at the 3D CGI animated cartoons from the 2010s. Coyote Falls was released with Cats and Dogs too. I really have nothing to say about these tie-ins. And there is no understating just how good these look. Love the classics all you want, but these are still spectacular. Easily my favorite looking cartoons from the whole series. Unfortunately, these are only 3 minutes long, so you can't do as much with these. Actually, all the cartoons from this point forward are around that length. Speeds up the process, but that means the themes and jokes in each one really has to stand out to compete with the longer cartoons. This one is just okay. It's a sequence of Wile bungee diving to catch Roadrunner and getting hit by a bunch of trucks. I like the truck chasing at the end, but the rest is just okay. Fur of Flying. This was released with Legends of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, whatever the hell that is. Man, these chase scenes are so dynamic. None of the classic cartoons ever had chases with this much going on. Wile gets a ceiling fan on his head, I guess? He flies into a restricted area and missiles are flying after Wile and Roadrunner. This one has some fun slapstick in it and is a good example of making up for the shorter runtime. Rabid Rider. Every tie-in so far has had low reviews, but Yogi Bear 2010 easily had the worst. And this one is also mediocre. Wile gets a supersonic Segway that doesn't even go that fast. Again, another amazing chase sequence, but almost half is just a long punishment from one plan that keeps going on. He gets rid of it and gets hit by a truck with a lot more Segways, I guess. It's just whatever. Flash in the Pain. The last cartoon to be released in the main series, and a pretty good one to end on. It was released for a film festival instead of a terrible tie-in. Wile has a teleporter this time, and the whole cartoon has this great night theme, and the pacing of this one is great. It's only one long scene, but it's full of fun ideas and different moving pieces. And there's even a scene where Wile teleports to Tweety Bird and Granny for a fun surprise sequence. Very solid all around. And these are my rankings for the classic Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. I'm predicting it now that these overall will be my favorite selection of cartoons, as mixed of a bag they are. I loved getting to see the evolution of these cartoons that spanned over such a long period of time. The best cartoons are generally the ones that try new things and have the best execution, instead of just a themed gag but falling off a cliff. Before I move on, I want to quickly highlight the online webtoons from 2001 to 2005. These were digitally animated cartoons, mostly found on the Warner Brothers website. I almost included these, but they really aren't Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons, but were from some other series that just featured them. Like Wile E. Coyote Ugly, which is listed under the wiki as one, but is more focused on Porky and Daffy studying a crime scene of one of Wile's contraptions. There's also an episode of Judge Granny featuring two. Look at that, we got Coyote Vs Acme 25 years ago, and Wile even wins the case and gets to eat the Roadrunner, and Roadrunner just runs away, that criminal.
Beep? I say beep, beep!
God, this show was good. It had its issues for sure, but I watched this all the time growing up, and I still have a good time watching it now. Season 1 featured small sketches at the end of most episodes, featuring Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. These cartoons are a lot shorter, only about 2 minutes, so they mostly focus on one invention rather than a typical compilation. But to their credit, a lot of them are more creative than what we're used to. I'll be able to go through these and rank them a lot faster because of how much they stand out and how fast I can get through them. The style for these is pretty minimal. I think Wile looks solid, but the backgrounds are more stagnant, and Roadrunner is a bit stiff in this model, which does lower the quality of these. While I love the 3D animations we've looked at already, these aren't really competing with the classic cartoons. Alright, let's get on with this. Bubble Trouble. Wile gets crushed by a massive truck with a bubble sphere inside it. He makes the best of it to catch the Roadrunner, but he rolls off a cliff, and the bubble bounces, and he... Well, that's excessive. He's fine though, he just falls. Pretty mid overall. A zipline in the sand. Wile uses a zipline trap 3 times to different results. These all feel like classic punchlines. Hey, that's a catch right there, but Roadrunner runs away with the hook. This one is dynamic enough. It's definitely better than Bubble Trouble. Fee-Fi Faux Dumb. This one was creative. Wile gets giant spray and becomes huge. There's some really cool shots in this one. Roadrunner gets to run across him to mess him up. The punchlines here are pretty clever too. I love the idea of just being able to buy something that makes you as big as the entire planet. Pretty funny and lots of good misdirects. Sail Fail. This one is similar to the pacing of Zipline in the Sand, but it's not as interesting. There's high winds and Wile makes a sailboat to chase him. The only part I really liked was when Roadrunner got on board. He even throws him a life ring. How cute. Unsafe at any speed. We finally learned how fast Roadrunner is at 275 miles per hour. Jesus. But this rocket car is over 300 miles per hour. This is just one long chase, but it's super dynamic with a lot going on. We never got many extended chases in the old cartoons. Somehow Roadrunner is faster, even though we saw the speeds already. Then Wile goes so fast, he travels through time. And we get to see this freaking awesome dinosaur Roadrunner. That's so cool. Silent, but deadly. Wow, Roadrunner is making ninjas actually cool. This is really fun. It breaks the rule that Roadrunner can't attack, but why not have fun and make a minute-long ninja battle? I love to see Roadrunner doing cool stuff, and the nighttime background is really cool. Winter Blunderland. This one was basically just freeze frame if the snow machine worked, but his only contraption are ice skates, and most of the punchlines are the same. This one's at the bottom. Heavy Metal. Wile finds a mech suit just randomly in a cave. During each segment, Roadrunner is just waiting for Wile to be done, like he's bored unless he's being chased. I've always assumed Roadrunner generally likes playing with Wile. I wish the mech was more mobile. Wile ends up mostly standing in place during each scene. This one is okay. Wile Sisyphus. The Sisyphus reference is funny, but really this is just standard boulder gags. It's not special at all. Roadrunner goes full psycho though, which is a nice touch. Vicious Cycles. This one was super funny because Wile just straight up robs people of their motorcycles and wrecks every single one of them. It's a funny premise done well, even if it was predictable. Gone in 60 parsecs. First of all, I love this bit at the start. Wile finds a secret hatch with a UFO. This one was similar to Unsafe at Any Speed, where it's mostly just a great dynamic chase scene with funny moments throughout. Also, seriously, if Roadrunner can just get out of a tractor beam, then clearly this is a lost cause. Heartbreak Bridge. Roadrunner is just having so much fun in this one, and this is a really creative idea. Wile blows up both sides of the bridge to trap the Roadrunner instead of under him, but the bridge keeps tilting on each side, leading to lots of different shenanigans. Wile actually catches the Roadrunner here, okay? I've said it before, but he's literally in his arms. This is crazy. This was a very fun sequence of events. I'm putting it at the top. Camo Coyote. Who wants to play prop hunt in the desert?
You fucker. No!
Wile disguises himself as multiple objects in a short with the most scenes yet. They're all pretty creative and it's fast paced, but the punchlines are generally underwhelming. Go Fly a Coyote. This one is just okay. The premise of a kite, skateboard, and instant wind is a little obtuse and doesn't lead to anything that interesting. I really don't have much to say about these cartoons. I can't justify longer segments. Remote Out of Control. Another okay one. Wile uses a remote car to blow up the Roadrunner, but it runs out of batteries. Yet somehow the car with the explosion keeps on being behind him. Nothing too dynamic with this one. The Roadrunner's barely present. Beautiful.
Courtney, do you see? Could it be? Steer hard starboard side!
This one is just Wile climbing up a cliff and falling. No contraptions or anything. He finds an elevator to the top of the cliff and realizes the Roadrunner silhouette was just a funny plant. This barely qualifies as a cartoon in my opinion. Another bat idea. This is just the actual Batman costume. Okay, yeah, this is way better than the green bat suit for sure. I wish we could have seen Roadrunner as the Joker or something. It has all the standard Batman gadgets, from the cape, the batarangs. Also, I really like how this boulder crumbles in the shape of Adam West. That's just really out there, but I liked it. Goner with the Wind. Wile can't get his windmills working, which were used to power his cooking ray. When trying to get them to work, it becomes a helicopter and flies into his machine. It's pretty whatever. Not much to say about it. Shut Your Trap. This episode actually had Wile in it. Shut up, I got distracted. And for the last cartoon in this series, oh my god, he catches the Roadrunner. For real, for real, for real, for real this time. God, the never-ending smile is just priceless. But Wile can't get him out of the trap to eat him. I wish they used more creative ways to get in there. Obviously, he should have tried digging, and he switches places at the end. Still a below average cartoon, despite the good premise. Now these are the rankings for the Looney Tunes show Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons. I very much enjoyed these. Each one stood out from the rest. With a smaller budget and less runtime, that's all we could really ask for, is that the creative team just has fun. The top 7 were the biggest standouts for me, and the bottom 6 were nothing to write home about. Definitely the most mixed bag collection, but for being the first series of new cartoons since the classic series basically ended in the 60s, this was a very fun return to form. Next, we have New Looney Tunes, also known as Wabbit. This was a more traditional reboot of the series, yet it never performed very well. I'm not familiar with this series at all, but it doesn't seem to be received the best. From my brief research, there was a lot of unpopular changes and they tried way too hard to evolve the series. But I didn't look that much into it because, as I mentioned before, out of 312 segments, only 2 of them were Roadrunner and Wile. They were massively underrepresented, so I guess I'll make this section quick. Acme Instant. This animation style is weird. It's more high quality than many cartoons, but it doesn't feel like it really fits the characters. But that's not the worst part.
With the help of my new lithium-powered rocket skates, it'll be bye-bye, Birdie.
Yeah, both of these cartoons are fully voice acted, completely breaking the most important rule of the cartoons. I really don't like it. It completely changes the punchlines, preferring to end on some witty line. And I also prefer Mel Blanc as a voice actor, even when I still disapprove of voice acting. Because the voice here, while a good actor, feels much more unfitting of Wile.
I don't know why, but something deep inside tells me I must destroy that bird. I don't know why, but I must destroy that bird.
Was this going to be a recurring line? In the first cartoon, Roadrunner is actually the delivery man for Acme and is why Wile gets packages so fast. He uses this knowledge to get the Roadrunner to fall into his traps. It isn't a bad concept, but I didn't find the execution of any scene here that entertaining. And like, what is even the point of these signs if you can talk anyway? Coyote under construction. This one has the same exact issues as the last one. I also noticed that Wile and Roadrunner barely interact at all. In fact, Roadrunner barely does anything in these cartoons. This is also the first cartoon to not take place in the desert, but just in a city construction site, featuring dialogue between other people. Yeah, this one is worse. Okay, that's the rankings. Wow. I can't be too negative on these. It wasn't as bad as the Lariva 11 because that was way more time consuming to sit through, but I probably had the same amount of enjoyment as any one of those. I might look more into this show because I'm sure it has a lot more positive to offer, but they really fumbled these two cartoons. Next is Looney Tunes Cartoons, a similar reboot, but instead of focusing on changing the Looney Tunes to be more modern, it expanded on the tried and true formulas with modern improvements and fresh ideas. I've seen a handful of the show, and it not only has fantastic animation, but is a lot better at bringing the Looney Tunes back to life and appealing to newer audiences. And we have 15 cartoons of our favorite duo to go through, varying in length from 1.5 minutes to 6 minutes. This is the last section I'm covering, and I'm actually pretty excited, so let's begin with TNT Trouble. The animation for these shorts are really high quality and expressive. For the most part, they had a much better understanding of what worked in the classic cartoons. I do have two gripes though. This is a huge nitpick, but I kind of liked the variety in styles from the old series. Seeing the evolution was fun and gave us tons of different expressions, but with every cartoon having the exact same style and quality, it's just a bit less special. And also Roadrunner. While super fluid, how can I put this? He is derpy as hell. Instead of innocent and curious and a bit of a rage baiter, here he's just oblivious and cross-eyed. It's not too much of an issue though, he's still amazing. This is one of the shorter cartoons here. It's just a few gags related to TNT. They're well executed, but it's not a special theme. Tunnel Vision. This one is only like 1.5 minutes. It's an expansion of the fake painting gag. I would have loved seeing this added onto with a longer sketch, but meh. Wile gets trapped in the painting itself, and cross-eyed Roadrunner sprays the painting clean. It's fun, but minimal. Cactus if you can. Remember that one SpongeBob episode with the reef blowers? Well, let's have that for an entire short cartoon. One long segment of sucking and blowing. It's pretty dynamic, but it's mostly just one long punishment for Wile. Ho ho go. Wow, I didn't expect a Christmas special to be the best one yet, but here we are. It's the longest yet and has a lot of themed gags. One thing I love is how the traditional score you'd find in one of these cartoons now has a holiday theme to it. It still fits in perfectly well, but adds a lot of charm to the cartoon. Roadrunner even gets to meet Santa Claus. Pretty fun. Climate control. This is the first fully length cartoon so far, and it's also great. Wile gets a remote that controls the weather, and they have a lot of fun with this idea. My favorite is when Wile floods the road before freezing it, which ends up being super effective. He just slides too much on the ice. He uses lightning bolts or tornado, and he even tries making a monsoon from a satellite that falls on him. It's super funny. Multiply and conquer. This one is pretty short, but if it was longer, it would be fantastic. A top tier for sure. First of all, Wile actually noticing his scientific name and being annoyed is really funny. Wile clones himself to make one of his traps work, something I'm surprised took him so long to consider. And this final contraption works. He got him for real, for real, for real, for real, for real. And predictably, the clones fight over getting to eat him. I love Wile's expressions in these cartoons. They really nailed his character in these. Timeout. I don't normally do this, but I was getting mad at Wile for being so stupid. He gets a time freeze gun but can't move the Roadrunner. He pulls this off twice, but he just doesn't think of putting him in a trap while frozen. Oh my god. No, don't move onto another boulder scheme. You know how this goes. Damn it, should have seen that coming. The time freeze gun does lead to some fun scenes and punchlines. It could have been expanded on more, but oh well, one of the better ones so far. Born to be Wile. Remember how much I liked Vicious Cycles? Well, this one might be even better. Just like Ho Ho Go, the score now has a biker theme added to it, and it's kind of perfect and adds so much to my enjoyment of the cartoon. Baddiest to the boniest. God, that's clever. There's a lot of classic punchlines here with a motorcycle. There's fun Wile mistakes and motorcycle malfunctions throughout. And when he catches on fire, he does stop, drop, and roll, and it doesn't work. Even though it's really good, I don't have much to say. I'm less than 10 cartoons from being done, and we all know how these cartoons play out. I don't have to keep narrating everything that happens. Swoop-de-doo! A brief mid-cartoon. It has a decent idea with Wile using a hawk suit to catch the Roadrunner, but after getting his talons caught in a fuel truck, it just spirals into one long punishment scene. Watching a failed attempt just spiral worse and worse has never been the most fun setup for me over the faster-paced scenes with simple punchlines. I guess the talons ignite the fuel spill and catch on fire, leading to this messed up shot here. Yeah, sick burn. This one is going at the bottom. In the road again. It's now season 2 of the show, as you can tell by this nice visual upgrade. I can't say much for this one either. Talk about one extended punishment scene. Wile's hole trap gets filled by cement and he spends the entire cartoon trying to break out of it. I like the detail that Wile can read Braille, but that's about it. I gotta say, while this series of cartoons have generally been better than the series before it, it hasn't been a series of gems like I expected either. They've generally been too short to really impress me and aren't as gimmicky as the Looney Tunes show cartoons were. Asphalt and Battery. This cartoon was amazing. Wile learns that Roadrunners can only stay on the road, a rule that has never been broken in any era of the cartoons ever. You'd be surprised what can be done with a road maker and a racer machine. I didn't think the beep beep being a bust would be funny anymore, but with Wile just patiently waiting for a Roadrunner under a cliff, it had really good timing. The machine also just keeps going up even without any ground. My favorite bit is when Wile keeps shrinking the road the Roadrunner is on, forcing him to keep going back and forth. But he's doing it so fast, he just shreds every weapon in sight. Like, what is going on? Wile decides to try TNT, but the machine ends up running him over with it. This was well executed all the way through. Top tier cartoon. Maybe I was wrong in the last entry. Fast and Steady. I wonder why all of these cartoons are always at the end of episodes. Is Roadrunner not main event material? This cartoon is only about a minute long. This danger sign Roadrunner spins around, keeps sliding, and gets Wile to surf on it before falling off a cliff. And that's it. I mean, objectively, why wouldn't I put this below the La Riva 11? Oh, never mind. Let's go! Spring forward, fall flat. Season 3 time. Wile uses spring shoes in this cartoon. For the most part, all the punchlines are things we'd expect, even if it's well timed. I like this misdirect here. I thought the shoes would spring Wile up when he steps out of them, but the cactus just tips over. And it ends on this great dynamic chase scene here with a ton of back and forth from both characters. Pretty solid all around. Portal Combat. Wile gets new portal technology, and man, he got a bum deal. I've seen so much better portal technology. They get pretty creative with this gadget too. Wile saves himself from a fall, but the portal ends up landing on a cactus. That's definitely my favorite part, but overall this one wasn't special. Mech a Mess. Season 6 time! Wait, what? And oh my god, this is the most recent Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon. And oh my god, Wile E is just as tired as I am. He has completely given up. In this one, he gets a brand new mech suit, and it's way more interesting than the mech suit from Heavy Metal. He has super strength, he shoots a bunch of missiles, has stretchy arms, and flies very fast. We fly over Area 51 again, but the entire building it's just missiles. Classic. A pretty solid finale if I do say so myself. Here are my rankings for Looney Tunes cartoons. I expected a lot more from these and they weren't bad, but I guess I got my expectations too high. Really, most of these would be better with more screen time given to them. Overall, this series had the fewest lows, which I highly respect. But in each of these 3 shows, this is the duo that gets the least amount of attention, which I find pretty sad because they're so special to me. I suppose you want me to read out my final rankings, don't you? Well, I'll do you one better. I loved getting to watch all these cartoons and watching how my favorite Looney duo has evolved. It wasn't all good, but hey, Looney Tunes never is. But this series is incredibly special to me, and it's about time I do it justice by watching the whole series. It was really interesting looking back on what I wrote for the classic gags I ranked low, and now seeing them make the top half. Overall, that era of the series cannot be beat. I probably ranked them harsher because they were surrounded by gold. I don't have much more to add, but if you stayed around this long, I ask that you please like the video and subscribe to my channel, which I hope to get more uploads on very soon. Not as long as this video though. Anyway, that's all folks.
Beep, beep.